See, these aren't your questions. It's the question that you're given. And if you question that, you see, then you're ridiculed. Either the question or the person asking the question is ridiculed. That's the way the game is played. So don't throw your right and your ability to look and think, your golden ruler that you measure the world around you, what we see with our eyes and what we experience in life. Don't stop asking these questions. Now recently, Anthony Cumia had Neil deGrasse Tyson on his show, and they ridiculed our right to question and look for answers in the world that we see around us. You see, our right was attacked to question and reason and think. So what we're going to do is the same ruler that they use to measure us, we're going to use that ruler against them. So I've got snippets from the show, and let's look and see whether Anthony and Neil deGrasse Tyson actually measure up who they claim they say they are. Do they stand for truth, or is it just a show, part of the delusional world that we are represented with?
There are a group of people that absolutely and honestly believe in 2016 the earth is flat. The earth is flat. It's flat. Now, I'm looking right out there at Neil deGrasse Tyson. Is he still out there? Yeah. Now, I'm looking right out there at Neil deGrasse Tyson. Is he still out there? Yeah. Now, I'm looking right out there at Neil deGrasse Tyson. Is he still out there? Yeah.
Eye-brain connection? What the fuck
Yeah.
is that? Hand-eye coordination? What the fuck is eye-brain connection?
Neil, if you could just take a seat for a second. I need an answer to this. I saw something over the weekend. Yeah.
And I try to show people that science is a way of understanding. And
Right.
you can't just pull stuff out of your ass and claim that it's science.
That it's science.
Because you throw some science words behind it.
Well, Neil, let me...
About this, all China has to do is leak a memo saying they want to put military bases on Mars. Doesn't have to be true.
Right.
Leak it, right? We'd be on Mars in
a
10
second,
months.
right.
Oh my God.
Right.
You can't just pull stuff out of your ass and claim that it's science. 1 month to design, build, fund.
Yeah.
This takes 9 months to get there. We have colonies, cities. Okay. So
Right.
you can't just pull stuff out of your ass and claim that it's science. Build, fund the spacecraft. 9 months to get there. We have colonies, cities. Okay, so you can't just pull stuff out of your ass and claim that it's science. 1 month to design, build, fund the spacecraft. 9 months to get there. We have colonies, cities. Okay, so you can't just pull stuff out of your ass and claim that it's science. You do, but somebody's got to write the check. What's the return on investment? I don't know, probably nothing. Somebody else do. This is what governments do. This is what governments do. This is what governments do.
was an excellent day for an exorcism. Kill you all! Drive you crazy. Kill you all! I'm the biggest nightmare you ever had. I'm the worst dream come true. I'm everything ever were afraid of.
If I could, it'd all be shit. Put your picture on my wall. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. Bad.
Pick it up! Bet my money on a stupid horse, I lost that. So I ran out to the track to get my cash back. I just gotta leave this place with a big bag. So I found a fucking jockey and I grabbed it. Pushed him down to the ground and I punched him in his face. Yeah, I stole his phone that put him in his place. Me and the horse, we ran out of the place. Then we took my horse back to my place. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account, oh no. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account, oh no. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account, oh no. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account. Woo! Pick it up! Stupid horse and a swordfish dance. Spending my money on fish that jealous. I go so fast now. Go so horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account, oh no. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche.
Lost some money in my bank account.
Oh no. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account, oh no. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account, oh no. Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche. Lost some money in my bank account, oh no.
Stupid horse, I just fell out of the Porsche.
Lost some money in my bank account.
Lost some money in my bank account.
Hey, you little piss baby, you think you're so fucking cool, huh? You think you're so fucking tough? You talk a lot of
Big game for someone wanting such a small truck.
Oh, look at those arms. Your arms look so fucking cute. They look like little cigarettes. I bet I could smoke you. I could roast you. And then you'd love it. You text me I love you. And then I'd fucking ghost you. The big boys coming with the big stuff. I feel so cool. Like I'm not even sure. Big boys coming with the big truck. Feel so cool. Like I'm not even sure. Big boys coming with the big truck. Feel so cool. Like I'm not even sure. Big boys coming with the big truck. Feel so cool. Like I'm not even sure. Feel so clean like a money machine. 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 Tell me what to do, I've been trying to go to bed. I've been up for days, I've been trying to get it right. Said it all before, I said it once again. I'm better off alone. Tell me what to do, I've been trying to go to bed. I've been up for days, I've been trying to get it right. Said it all before, I said it once again. I'm better off alone. With the big boys coming with the big stuff. I feel so good, like a money machine. Big boys coming with the big truck. Feel so good, like a money machine. Big boys coming with the big truck. Feel so good, like a money machine. Big boys coming with the big truck. Feel so good, like a money machine.
Feel so clean like a money machine.
Feel so clean like a money machine. Feel so clean like a money machine. Feel so clean like a money machine.
Feel so clean like a money machine. Feel so clean like a money machine. What? Holy shit, smoked.
Wouldn't you like to do it? I know you despise this Saiyan underling for daring to be so uppity. So I let you kill him to prove you realized your folly and replayed your loyalty like the old days.
Hey, I really botched this one, huh?
We've tried to warn you, and yet here you are. I guess you always will be a naive idiot. Thanks for the offer, but I can't. As annoying as this bastard can be, it's our rivalry that keeps pushing me to get stronger. Can't afford to kill him.
What if I sweeten the deal? Take Goku's life and I'll appoint you the Supreme Commander of the entire Frieza Force. Of course, I know at the moment it only consists of Sorbet, but we'll rebuild it stronger than ever.
You would make me the Supreme Commander. Is that a real offer?
Should I take that as a yes?
Damn it. Now I may actually regret this. But I've already made my decision. I'm going to pulverize you until there's nothing left.
You dare say that to me?
Use your head. Do you actually think I would stay loyal to you after you blew up the planet I was destined to rule? Get down here, Krillin. Your buddy Kakarot needs a senzu bean. He's fading fast.
Okay, I'm coming. He wasn't kidding. You're in bad shape. Good thing that space cop didn't want his.
Thanks, Vegeta! You really saved my neck!
You can thank me by staying out of this fight from now on. I'm finishing this.
Yeah, of course! It's your turn anyway. Have fun!
Please, if you believe you can defeat me, then you're more delusional than ever!
Have fun!
That's right. You had no idea, did you? I've been a Super Saiyan for years, and now I too have the power of God. You of all people should know this about me, but I don't share Kakarot's taste for forgiveness. I'm sending you back to hell.
Your threats are as empty as your title. All hail Vegeta, Prince of No One.
Power of a god.
No, this can't be real. This is not the way it ends.
This is the way.
At least try to face your
Hello.
debts of honor.
Hello, my realm.
Resurrecting again.
Do you base everything on movies? Well, I brought up cowboy movies because cowboy movies is like a male archetype that doesn't really exist anymore. Boy poker scene. See, being a man is all about being independent. That is the that's the property of the masculine is independence and autonomy. And little boys' fathers are supposed to teach them to be independent, or else the mother will devour them. So, poker is pretty fucking independent. You can make an independent living playing poker. It's also a path in life that not many people go down. It's not like going to school and doing the fucking thing that everyone else does. That's what followers do. So, in many ways, poker is masculine. And in these old cowboy movies, they would always have like a poker scene. And these cowboy movies where the cowboy is the masculine. He's independent, rough, rugged. He could go survive on his own in the wilderness and all that shit.
Al's policy.
This is a newer movie. When is this movie? But anyways, that's why I brought up movies. I don't know what you're trying to like banter with me, man. You're not gonna win. My realm. Yeah, well, here, watch this. If you don't believe me, my realm, watch this.
Sometimes for months.
Alright.
Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. Marie-Louise von Franz, a Swiss psychologist, noticed a disturbing trend in the mid-20th century. Many men and women who were well into their adult years remained psychologically stunted in their maturation. They occupied the bodies of adults, but their mental development failed to keep pace. Von Franz saw this as such a pressing issue that in 1959 she gave a series of lectures on the psychology of the puer aeternus, which is Latin for eternal child. While originally this term was used in mythology to refer to a child god who remains forever young, her teacher Carl Jung had adopted the term for psychological purposes to describe the individual who, like Peter Pan, fails to grow up. In one of her lectures, von Franz describes the puer aeternus as the individual who remains too long in adolescent psychology, that is, all those characteristics that are normal in a youth of 17 or 18 are continued into later life, coupled in most cases with too great a dependence on the mother. Von Franz predicted that in the coming decades what she called the problem of the puer aeternus would spread across the world and affect more and more individuals. Her predictions have proven remarkably accurate, especially among the male population of the Western world. Many young men are struggling academically, socially, spiritually, financially, and sexually. They are living at home into their late 20s and 30s, choosing to remain in the comforting confines of their parents' care rather than testing the unknown waters of independence. Instead of striving to create something of themselves, many prefer the familiar and comfortable virtual worlds of internet, pornography, and video games. They are passive wanderers in life with no path or purpose, save the pursuit of momentary pleasure to ease their suffering. Based on the scope of this problem, it would not be far-fetched to claim that the problem of the puer aeternus is the primary neurosis of the modern age. The purpose of this course is to provide an antidote to those who suffer from this problem. To do this, we are going to provide an in-depth psychological analysis of the puer aeternus, and building on insights from Carl Jung, Soren Kierkegaard, von Franz, and others, provide practical advice on how to commence on a more responsible, enriching, successful, and independent life path. Before we examine the psychology of the puer aeternus, it is necessary to take note of the conditions which have given rise to this social problem. And toward this end, we must discuss how a strong mother complex stunts the maturation of many today. For as von Franz notes, a man who has a mother complex will always have to contend with his tendencies toward becoming a puer aeternus. Throughout our evolutionary history, the mother and father have assumed different parental roles. Mothers have always interacted with their children more than fathers. They maintain more physical contact and are more nurturing, comforting, and empathetic to the physical and emotional pains and needs of the child. This extremely intimate and close relationship with the mother figure creates in the child a lasting emotional mark. or a highly resistant psychological bond psychologists call a mother complex. The child's experience of the mother, writes James Hollis, is internalized as a complex, an emotionally charged cluster of energy beyond the control of the ego. Fathers do not create this same bond of dependency with the child. Instead, their role has traditionally been to provide the developing child with resources and protection, but just as importantly with guidance. More specifically, the role of the father has been to help the child break free from their bond of dependency with the mother, and so help him emerge into the world as an independent and functional adult. In most cultures throughout history, individuals transitioned from adolescence to adulthood with the help of initiatory rites of passage. The primary goal of all initiatory rites of passage, cross-culturally, was to separate the youth from his mother, first physically and then psychologically. These rites were performed shortly after the onset of puberty, and were instituted solely by the elder males of the tribe, the cultural fathers. Women were generally banned from observing or participating in these rituals. A typical rite of passage, as explained by Mircea Eliade in his book Rites and Symbols of Initiation, proceeded as follows. In the middle of the night, the cultural fathers of the tribe, dressed as gods or demons, would snatch the youth from his bed. This was the last time the youth would see his mother, sometimes for months. The youth would be taken to a deep cave, buried alive, or else plunged into some other sort of literal or symbolic darkness. This stage represented the symbolic death of the youth's childhood, the loss of paradise and the joys of irresponsibility. It was meant to convey to the youth the message, "You can't go home again." Following the symbolic death of childhood, a ceremony of rebirth would be performed, marking the young adult's transformation to a more mature state of being. He was subsequently taught by the elders the wisdom and knowledge of the tribe, and then sent off into the wilderness, where he would spend many months alone struggling for his survival. Upon his successful return, he was welcomed back into the tribe as an adult member. The youth, from that point on, was expected to have overcome his mother complex. Immaturity and dependency were no longer acceptable. Given the intensity and sometimes violent nature of these initiation processes, it appears as if our ancestors understood that separating a young boy from his mother was a monumental task requiring deliberate measures. In the West today, there is no equivalent for these rites of passage. It has often been said, notes Mircea Eliade, that one of the characteristics of the modern world is the disappearance of any meaningful rites of initiation. Lacking cultural fathers and rites of initiation, the youth today must turn to their personal father to provide them with initiation into adulthood. But unfortunately, not all fathers can supply their children with this guidance. For to do so, the father must be strong and independent himself and emotionally present in the child's life.
I want to make a quick point here as they're comparing ancient cultures to our modern times, where in the past we had these rites of passage to bring an adolescent male into adulthood. We don't really have an equivalent of that in the modern era. And I believe that technically, just because an ancient culture did something doesn't mean it's right. That's a logical fallacy, or logical fallacy called appeal to ancient wisdom. But I also think that modern, an aspect of human nature is that we are arrogant and prideful, and the people in power that manipulate society and culture, they play upon our arrogance, and they tell us that they lie to us and say that everything new is the latest and greatest, and everything in the past, that's antiquated, ancient, it's stupid. You need to get the newest TV, the newest computer, the fastest everything, whatever. And we believe that because we want to think that our current era is the best era. We believe the lie because we want to. It plays off our human nature of arrogance. So sometimes I think in the past, ancient cultures, there's some wisdom there that we lost, and that we don't consider that maybe the old ways sometimes are better than the current way we do things. I guess that's the point I was going to try to make. So sometimes like stuff seems silly, like in the past when they're like, I don't know, don't eat meat on Fridays or something, but there could be some reason for that, or and like in a lot of religions would incorporate fasting, and then now modern research shows that like intermittent fasting and stuff, there's health benefits to doing stuff like that. So sometimes like the ancients maybe knew something that we didn't, I believe.
He must be able to show, by example, that there is something worth seeking and struggling for in this world. For to successfully encourage a young man to break from the comforts of childhood, he needs to be convinced there is somewhere worth going. Sons also need to watch their father in the world, writes James Hollis. They need him to show them how to be in the world, how to work, how to bounce back from adversity. They need the activation of their inherent masculinity, both by outer modeling and by direct affirmation. In his book Finding Our Fathers, Sam Ocheron cites an expansive study in which only 17% of American men reported having a positive relationship with their father during their youth. In most cases, the father was physically or emotionally absent. Reflecting on this statistic, the psychotherapist James Hollis writes, "If this amazing statistic is even close to the truth, something large and tragic has happened to one of the critical balances of nature. A disruption in the critical balance of human nature is exactly what has happened. We live in the epoch of the absent father, and many suffer greatly as a result. Young men are expected to leave the comforts of home, to overcome their mother complex, and to sculpt a life worth living, all without the psychological support of a father. Is it any wonder that the problem of the puer aeternus is so prominent in our time? But the effects of an absent father are worsened by the impact this situation has on the mother. For it produces a situation where, firstly, the mother tends to become more authoritative in her parenting to compensate for the lack of a masculine figure in the child's life. And secondly, a failure on the part of the father to provide the mother with love and support creates in her an emotional hunger, which she attempts to satiate through her relationship with her child. This situation creates the perfect storm, whereby the mother becomes what Jungians call a devouring mother. She overprotects and smothers her child and becomes involved in every aspect of his life. It is often the case that such a mother, despite having the best intentions, unconsciously manipulates her child into remaining dependent on her well into adulthood, and it is often the case that the child willingly complies. Behold the secret conspiracy between mother and son, writes Jung, and how each helps the other to betray life. A child brought up in this manner, and thus never granted the opportunity to venture out on his own, to stand up for himself, to fail and fix his own mistakes, or to make decisions for himself, will develop into an adult crippled in his capacity to endure and overcome the inevitable challenges and struggles of life. The healthy desire to adapt himself to reality and to individuate, both of which entail fear, pain, and conflict, will be replaced by his need to remain bounded to his mother, whether it be his personal mother or a symbolic substitution. In other words, when a child emerges in his biological mother, he may desperately seek to find in other women a nurturing replacement, or else lose himself in the comforting embrace of an addiction. In other words, when a child emerges into adulthood with a strong mother complex, he will not seek to develop his independence and evolve his consciousness, but rather will be possessed by what Jung called the spirit of regression, which threatens us with bondage to the mother and with dissolution and extinction in the unconscious. He will find himself in the service of sleep, and not the battle of life. He hopes to be caught, sucked in, enveloped, and devoured, writes Jung. He seeks, as it were, the protecting, nourishing, charmed circle of the mother, the condition of the infant released from every care. No wonder that the real world vanishes from sight. In the next video, we'll provide an in-depth analysis of the psychology of the puer aeternus. Following this, we'll explore how the puer can overcome his problems in order to lead a more independent and fulfilling life.
So, I think this is the best YouTube channel. It's called Academy of Ideas. I don't know. I could not say enough good things about this channel. It's freaking amazing. I'd like to watch more videos of it, but I try to just watch 1 or 2 a day and then think about it, because it's pretty. I think a lot of these videos are very thought-provoking and very interesting, and also it's stuff that's very relevant to what's going on in the world. So a lot of people will watch a lot, absorb a lot of information, and just keep absorbing information. But I like to read about something, think about something, and then for the rest of the day kind of like ponder it rather than just keep absorbing more and more stuff. I like to think about the things that things like this that I find interesting. It's called using your brain. I don't know, I guess I have to explain this to people because I don't think they know how to do this. Education is indoctrination. I have a bunch of videos about education being indoctrination. Movies aren't real. Movies are not real. Well, I mean, the things that happen in movies aren't real, but movies are real, and movies affect people. And yeah, my realm, that's the thing, is like I'm not talking about you as an individual. I was just talking in general based on the stuff in this video, and I think there's truth to it. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Carl Jung was a genius, though, personally. Yeah, I've been going over this book, The Technological Society by Jacques Ellul, and he talks about education being indoctrination. Like, I could give you, I don't know if you care, but I think this stuff's interesting. I'll put this link in the chat. These are some quotes from Bertrand Russell's, but you click more here and it goes to, there's some more of them, and it gets into Bertrand Russell. So this is good stuff to use. I don't know if you ever argue with people, but it's hilarious if you want to argue with them about stuff like the truth of what's going on, because you don't have to use like a conspiracy theory video on YouTube, because they'll just say the source is incredible. But the good thing is that the people, I don't know, my stream keeps cutting out. Should be back on now. I don't know, I get some encoder error and then I have to go click start stream again. Anyways, if you're ever arguing with people, they'll give you crap for your sources and say like, oh, you just believe some YouTube video. But the good thing is that the elite, the people ruling, controlling us, they write books about what their plans are. And so you can use like Bertrand Russell here as a source. He's a part of the establishment. He's like highly respected intellectual. He's like won a Nobel Prize. He's like a socialist? No, what is it? He's a philosopher, logician, mathematician, historian, writer, essayist, social critic, political activist, and Nobel laureate. So that's like a legit, credible source. And he wrote these books about what I got the idea from Aldous Huxley, The Scientific Dictatorship. These books, the impact of science on society and the scientific outlook. Because like currently, I believe they're using science to control how we think, just like in the past they used religion to do the same thing. And modern man has gone away from worshiping God to we now worship modern science and technology, and the expert in the white lab coat, they're going to have a society be controlled by just scientists, pretty much. And he talks about education being indoctrination here. He says, I think the subject which will be most important politically is mass psychology. Its importance has been enormously increased by the growth of modern methods of propaganda. Of these, the most influential is what is called education. So right there, he says education is the most influential modern method of propaganda. I think there's some other quotes of people who are saying, like, give me a child at a young age for 3 years and we'll have him, or something like that. Like, we'll have his mind. Someone like some communist leader said that shit. And he talks about other forms of propaganda. He says religion plays a part, though a diminishing one, because they want to move away from religion, because religion puts too much importance on mankind. The mythology of religion is that God died for our sins and man is made in the image of God and man's important and all this stuff, and they want to go towards where human life doesn't have value. That's why, like, they could have stuff like abortion now, because the human individual doesn't matter. It's all about the society and the group. So the community, groupthink. So they've switched out this, like, they want to get rid of the religious mythology and have this scientific mythology where you just evolved from an ape, so you're just a monkey. You don't have a soul, you just have electricity firing in your brain. That's who you are. You're just a chemical reaction in your brain. You don't have a soul. So that way, when they get this religion of humans are destroying the planet and humans are the enemy, they could start, like, murdering people to save the planet, and they'll believe they'll be morally justified, so they could basically have Nazi Germany concentration camps for killing people. I'm kind of spitballing here, but anyways, and he talks about the other forms of propaganda: the press, the cinema, the radio played an increasing part. It may be hoped that in time anybody will be able to persuade anybody of anything if you can catch the patient young and is provided by the state with money and equipment. And he talks about how they could brainwash children to think that snow is black. Like, that's the amount of control that they'll have on your mind through the education system. And it goes on more to, although this science will be diligently studied, it will be rigidly confined to the governing class. The populace will not be allowed to know how its convictions were generated. When the technique has been perfected, every government that has been in charge of education for a generation will be able to control its subjects securely without the need of armies or policemen. Oh, that's not the part I wanted to read, but that's also interesting. That's actually backed up. In the other book I was talking about, The Technological Society, he says that statistically, like, when the more educated an area, like, the lower the crime rates or some shit like that. So they think when they perfect propaganda and mind control, they won't even need an army or police to control us. Think about that shit. We're going to be just total zombified. But the education things, he goes, scientific societies are yet in their infancy. It is to be expected that advances in physiology and psychology will give governments much more control over individual mentality than they now have, even in totalitarian countries. Fichte laid it down that education so Fichte is this German philosopher who is instrumental in arguing for the government to have a K through 12 Prussian, it's called the Prussian education system. So he was instrumental in pushing it through, getting it in place. He said that education should aim at destroying free will, so that after pupils have left school, they shall be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than as their schoolmasters would have wished. This is in the book, The Impact of Science and Society. Also, like, Noam Chomsky, he says stuff about education being indoctrination. He says that they actually intentionally make school boring so that when you leave school, you associate learning with, like, boring, hard work, like a chore. Where I always thought it was fun to learn, but that's what Noam Chomsky said. And then you look at society today, and it's like, yeah, people are literate, but nobody reads. in the stuff they learn about like celebrities or politicians or sports. Like they don't really learn about philosophy or anything. They don't really think deeply about things. It's all like the surface level materialists. Like, what can I buy? I don't know. They're all obsessed with chasing pleasure. Going back to that like psychology thing, the mother complex. So all this shit like ties together. Oh, I could check raise here. I feel every YouTuber has an ego and think they have a brain, and while they claim everyone else is a troll or agent or some other paranoid thought, you should learn what's worth being paranoid about. That's a very married model. When cities burn. Alright, bro. When cities burn. None of this will be relevant.
Judgments, I went walking out that door. I smiled at one person, then I nodded to 3 more. One man asked me for $1. I
said,
what it's for.
sure.
He said, I have seen them. I said, okay, it's yours. Featured on the MTV, the local high school lets out and the town becomes anarchy. Bodies are crass, skin marks are measured. There's stories in the paper, you may read it at your leisure. Get up! Eject! Escape from the prison planet! Get up! Eject! Escape from the prison planet! And to the tune of $1 billion, I supply to the DOD some tasty little nuggets of alien technology. And as one might expect, I've been harassed for years. The men in black have been bending my ear. As a matter of fact, they were just here today, but I escaped them through a secret passageway. Once I lived there for 1,000 days. Get up!
Eject! Escape from the prison planet!
Get up! Eject!
Escape from the prison planet!
I have plans for the future, guess the
Futuristic plan!
move out west and
Buy some desert land or
maybe up north.
no, just past Alaska. You know nothing of this if they ask ya.
Red rover, Bob Lazar's coming over. So honey, clear the airstrip and light up that stove by Joe. I think
That stove by Joe.
yeah. Escape from the prison planet.
Planet. Escape from the planet of the apes. Get up! Escape!
Escape from the prison planet. Yeah. Suicide ignite, oh yeah.
Yeah. No shit. This fucking soft client fucking bitch. So do you think the earth is flat? I do not think the earth is flat. I enjoy flat earth. I'm a flat earther, but I don't think the earth is flat. I think it's a fucking sphere, dude. It's a sphere conspiracy, though. It's a bigger sphere. They're not telling us the true size. It's Jamie.
That's not.
I'll go hi, Jamie. Hi, Jimmy! Oh my god! Oh my god! Seriously!
Got
Oh my god! Seriously! Truck bomb in Somalia. They're gonna have fucking drone bombs, like in the movie. I wonder if... Drone bomb. Like this shit. Am I gonna get... Maybe I'll show this.
Remember Halliday's announcement?
Let's see here. This is not... Does this show it? That's not what I was looking for. Above average flop. Well, in this movie they got drones with bombs, and then the corporation kills poor people in a fucking trailer park with them. And like, just to kill one person, they kill, I don't know, probably like 20 or something. And they talk about how like they can do it a little bit, no one will notice, but they can't do it too much. So I don't know, they like evaluate all the scenarios. I don't know. I think that's real life. Oh, it's going to be too. Like, it's predictive programming. Well, I'm not a Christian because I'm trying to brainwash people to be atheist. He's probably not even an atheist. He's probably like a part of the mystery schools. Like, just because a politician says he's Christian doesn't mean he's Christian, right? They'll just say whatever. The decline of gaming. Gaming sucks now. Retro gaming for life. So disappointed with PlayStation 4. Like, I couldn't believe how shit it is. I'm just joking about the Earth being bigger. That's some people say. I think we're told the truth about the shape of the Earth, but we're totally lied to about just about fucking everything. So I can understand why people think the Earth is flat. And I thought the Earth might be a flat because I didn't understand the science at first. And then I did, I looked into it and I listened to the arguments. I tried to be open-minded about shit, even if it's like insane, because I've seen insane shit that no one would ever believe me. And I'm not like a fucking science person. I don't like science. I'm into strategy games and shit. And strategy, health, nutrition. That's the type of stuff I'm interested in. Because, I can actually use the knowledge of health and nutrition to improve my life. Whereas learning about fucking science does fuck all for me. You'd have to be a fucking moron to spend all your time reading about physics and shit. And doing stupid experiments. I think debating though is a useful, like the useful things you can get from Flat Earth is the Flat Earth debate. Like, you can learn how to debate. Well, it's good for like me because I'm not very social, so it helped me learn how to talk to people better probably, but I still suck ass at it. Because I just piss everyone off. Trolled by a hacker last night. Trolled by a hacker. Ooh, Zelda, that sounds nice. How about the Song of Swords? Song. This is the famous one, right? Did he donk? Yeah. I'm opening my range here because I want to isolate this fish. Not good flop. Floppy flop. That gives me some equity. I'm gonna bet. Yay! Wow, he had aces. I like that song. Mix on.
Like as if he had proved it. It was beyond doubt. Like stop putting that in as a force cornerstone.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like,
But for him to think that.
What the fuck? Wait a second. What's going on here? Do I fold here? This is weird. I think I'm just gonna fold, man.
The only way is to kill the Supreme Kai. Yes, kill him, Vegeta! Gravity centered his mind. You can't afford to let him live, Vegeta! Kill him, Vegeta! Kill him!
I refuse!
What?
Your business with the Kai, it means nothing to me. Kakarot is my only objective.
That's amusing, Vegeta, but I'm serious. By every fiber in your body, I command you to destroy! Kill the Kai!
No! Get out of my head! I already told you! I will not be distracted from this anymore! I won't! It will take more than head games to stop me! You may have invaded my mind and my body, but there's one thing a Saiyan always keeps! His pride!
I can't believe it. What kind of strength allows a person to fight against and overpower their own enslaved body?
But there's one thing a Saiyan always keeps!
But this has never happened to me before. Since when can the possessed say no to the possessor?
Guess I've been keeping you waiting for a long time, Vegeta. But no more.
But there's one thing a Saiyan always keeps! It's so funny, freak! incredible. He's getting up again. What are you gawking at? What did you think? That I was gonna roll over and die from an attack like that? You're nothing, just a trickster. I am a warrior. The Saiyan Prince, Vegeta! You're nothing, just a trickster. I am a warrior. What, clown? It will take more than head games to stop me. You may have invaded my mind and my body, but there's one thing a Saiyan always keeps. His meaningless, huh? What do you know of meaningless? Tell me, is it slavery when you get what you want? Enough! Does a machine like yourself ever experience fear? Bow before your prince.
But this has never happened to me before. Since when can the possessed say no to the possessor?
What kind of strength allows a person to fight against and overpower their own enslaved body?
Once again, you have taken for granted the powers of a true Saiyan warrior. Maybe if this was 500 times gravity, you might have an advantage. But 10? I don't even feel it.
That's so badass at the end. Vegeta actually raises an interesting philosophical question. Is it slavery when you get what you want? They found out through scientists like B.F. Skinner's experiments that positive reinforcement works better than negative reinforcement. And then so they've taken Aldous Huxley's plan of like Brave New World of basically they've brainwashed us to want slavery. It's pretty wow. Just flopped. Ladies, I got trips. Oh man, what was that song? Cash out on my titties. Bink bling bling blah. I haven't heard this in so long. I need to bet enough so I can jam on the river. Bing blang blah.
Check raises in the house. I got your
Money now.
and I'm gonna cash it out.
Rub it on my titties. Rub it on my titties. Rub it on my titties. Cash out on my titties.
Start this out with a bing blang blow. Check raise with the 3 in the house. I just won $50 from you that you could have used
To buy some food, but you can't now.
Cause I'ma cash it out and rub it on my titties.
So pretty.
I like the feel of a crisp new bill pressed against my tit.
That I just won from a knit.
I'm a heads up master and I'm dropping this rhyme to let you haters know that I'll take you on and I'll kick your ass and I'll take your blinds at any stake on any site at any time. Someone hit my boom switch
So I can stack fish and I mean you bish.
Cause I know when I hit that you'll pay me off cause I call you overbet.
With nothing but a flush draw. Bling blang wow.
I got your money now. I'm gonna cash it out. Rub it on my titties.
I talk the smack, but I got the stack, and I bet that you think you can win it back. Wanna play some more? Cause I got all day. Shove it in, flip them up, shift them out my way. You push with a pair, and I win the race. Then you call when I float, and I turn my ace. I got a goal now to crush your soul, and I ain't gonna stop till I got your roll. Ball
guess I
under
call.
control. Jump with that. Wanna figure out where my win rate's at. Gonna pull my graph up in HEM. Then it's time for a trip to the ATM.
Oh.
Listen up and I'll tell you all what's going through my head when I make that call. I think you only got yourself to blame. You should go play roulette.
Because poker is a skill game.
Give me some of that big blank blow. Bing, bang, blow. Cash it out. I got your
Money now. Cash it out. Rub it on my titty.
Son, you know you're a donkey, right? You just been running hot all night. What's wrong with you? Give me an answer. Hope your motherfucking arm gets cancer. You're a joke, and no doubt you'll lose that money plus more before you ever cash out.
Oh yeah, well you can kiss my ass. I'm letting you know what's gonna happen to your cash. I ain't a donk, I've been around for a while, and I got the proof.
Documents on file.
I can see it now.
Got a bank
When
wire.
I filled out the payment request, it's just a matter of time before I rub my chest. What man, you wanna lose a kid?
Your car gonna be all over, baby.
Your call gonna be all over, baby. I got your money now. I'm gonna cash it out. Rub it on my titty. Rub it on my titty. Cash out. Bling, blang, blow.
You know how it goes. Cashing out all the time. Man, the hell with iTunes. You like this song? You can ship me 99 cents on Stars. D-Rives. 2009. Yo, check me out at bingblankblow.com.
Bing, blang, blow. Gonna cash it out. Rub it on my titty. Cash out on my titties. Okay, I haven't listened to that shit in so long. This shit's hilarious. Could have bought some food, but you can't. Damn.
A snake snatcher bushwhacking adventure. An unfathomable, incredible, strange journey. Deep in the jungle. Lost in the jungle, 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 jungle. Lost in the jungle. What will you do?
Above average,
Find
River.
yourself lost in the jungle.
What? Oh my god. They got brick. I'm just gonna call.
끝까지 날 바꾸려 하지마 아니면 차라리 다른 사람 만나 투덜대지 마 밤늦게 나가서 놀면 좀 어때 어쩌다 전화 안 받으면 어때 왜 자꾸 그래 너 나를 못 믿니 너에게 날 맞추지 마 나에게 더 바라지 마 거품처럼 거짓말을 있는 그대로 생각해봐 보이는 대로 날 바라봐줘 거품처럼 거짓말을 말은 좀 예쁘게 해 웃을 땐 얌전하게 연락은 좀 자주 해 너나 잘해 hey 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 웃다가 가끔 우울하면 어때 좋다가 갑자기 싫어진 어때 왜 자꾸 그래 너 나를 모르니 너에게 날 맞추지 마 나에게 더 바라지 마 거품처럼 거짓말을 있는 그대로 생각해봐 보이는 대로 날 바라봐줘 거품처럼 거짓말을 너에게 날 맞추지 마 나에게 더 바라지 마 거품처럼 거짓말을 있는 그대로 생각해봐 보이는 대로 날 바라봐줘 거품처럼 거짓말을 I'm McDonald's with a blaze 소리처럼 나 이름 잊지 못하게 loud 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 I could take it to the top 절대 멈추지 못해 내가 끝내주는 bag And when I start to talk that oh you know how to react I'm a picture perfect face with the wild in my veins you can hear it in my growl So keep your eyes on me now 무엇을 보든 좋아할 거야 다 할 수 없는 래퍼 언제든지 내 모습 매직 단 한 번에 내가 잡아 절대 기죽지 않지 펴펴 네가 뭘 알아 견딜 수 없어 원해도 원하는 게 얼굴에 보여 I'm trouble and you running it I'm so cold when I move that way you gon' be so blown I'm the realest in the game said I'm on fire with the blade you're about to hear my name ringing in your head like whoa so keep your eyes on me now 무엇을 보던 좋아할 거야 We're so tough let's get it show you out can you feel the rush now ain't nobody bringing us down 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 they could try but we're gonna wear the crown you could go another round 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 wish you luck but you're not bringing us down we go hard so we get it we go hard we're so in it we pop stars only winning now ain't nobody bringing us down 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 난 멈추지 않아 we go hard we pop stars ain't nobody bringing us down 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 they could try but we're gonna wear the crown you could go another round 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 wish you luck but you're not bringing us down we go hard so we get it we go hard we're so in it we pop stars only winning now ain't nobody bringing us down 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 down
So tell me if you really wanna be a superstar, but yes, on the mic and it will surely take you far. You make that drop on the 24 tracks, we mix it all down, then we put it on wax. Beginning is hype when you're playing in the balls, and the bottom is clip where you make Lucifer. Take away your privacy and take your guitar, then take your woman and impound your arm. I'm beginning of wisdom, I won't take you too far. First, you got to sell your soul to be a superstar. Maybe if you got it, forget about that. Your money don't concern you, that's a natural fact. Shut up your mouth before you get knocked out. We wanna listen to your voice up on the speaker box. And first you get a manager, but what does he do? I'll be the first to tell you, baby, that I don't have a clue. We're gonna make a phony image for the MTV. You hear it on the radio, say, damn, that's me. Whenever I get over on a 3-piece arm, Jesus and a mama gonna break your arm. Put your ass in the junk, to be a superstar. Realize sometimes I realize you're in a position that you just can't hide. All over the world you gotta take that trip, and then you never thought to see the day it act like this. Your rep is getting bigger than a B-52, and then it goes around the world before it gets back to you. Hey, all of a sudden, can you believe before your eyes this shit don't come down to me? I gotta take a rest on the side. So lost, yeah. Oh my God, if I let my own night take it, turn around and place it home. Realize sometimes I realize you're in a position that you just can't hide. Whoa, it's a position that I just can't hide.
What you want, what you need? Give it up, give it up, give it up, get up, get up, get up. Punani, punani, punani.
the youngest, hardest rapper from Queens, Junior High, Lil Jim.